supermarkets do you own?
My answer is I don't really have a supermarket that I owned 100%. I just have stock owned in 5 supermarkets here. When we say stock, a stock is a broad term that refers to any company's ownership certificates. A share, on the other hand, refers to a corporation's stock certificate. You became a shareholder if you own a share of a corporation. So the stock has two main types, the common and the preferred stock. So when we say common stock is the stock that issued by the companies. It's either shareholders to share company profits through dividends and or capital appreciation. So the second one is the preferred stock. So when we say preferred stock, it represents some degree of ownership in a company but usually doesn't come with the same voting rights.
How much do you loan or borrow in order to provide your employee's salary? When I first started a small business, I loaned 10,000 to help me provide my employee's salary. My business grew not more than a year and I was able to pay the money I borrowed, which is 10,000, including the interest that the lender has charged me. Did you know that in simple terms, bond is a loan from an investor to a borrower, just like in a government or company? As an investor, you will lend money to a company or a government for a set period of time. In return, they will pay you interest for the term of that loan. Once the bond reaches maturity, the bond issuer returns the investor's money. When you buy bonds, you're providing a loan to the bond issuer, who has agreed to pay you interest and return your money on a specific date in the future. In bonds, you will know the length and duration of the bond and how much money you'll get back at the end of it. Bonds have many different types, and these are government bonds. It is a debt security issued by a government to support government spending obligations. Second, we have corporate bonds. It is a bond issued by a company to raise funds for a range of reasons, including continued operations or business expansion. And we also have short-term bonds, long-term bonds, municipal, and inflation-protected bonds. How many companies in stock markets did you invest? How did you manage to build a nice and affordable apartments that you own now?
Oh, hi, ma'am. Demand for rental housing grew steadily over those years, driven by demographic trends and a strong labor market. Yet, the supply of new rental housing didn't keep up with demand, leading to rent increases that outstrip gains in household income. Policymakers and researchers have identified a number of barriers to building more and more affordable housing, including restrictive land use regulations, increasing costs of construction and labor materials, and greater market concentration in the home building industry. Notably, residential construction has not benefited from improved productivity as many other industries have. The piece is the first in a series that explore how improved design and construction decision could reduce the cost of building multifamily housing. Our goal is to lay out what developers, architects, and constructors can do to improve affordability and dependent of larger change in land use policy or housing finance. We also note areas where design and construction interact with the policies and finance environment, and which would benefit from broader changes. To better understand how design and construction techniques can make building apartment cheaper, we break down the components cost into three categories: the land cost, hard cost, and soft cost.
Describe John Forbes Nash in his fundamental contribution to the game theory.
John Forbes Nash Jr. was an American mathematician who made fundamental contributions to game theory, differential geometry, and the study of partial differential equation. He was born in June 13, 1928, died in May 22, 2015 at the age of 86. John Forbes Nash Jr. was known for Nash bargaining game, Nash blowing up, Nash equilibrium, Nash embedded theorem, Nash functions, Nash inequality, Nash theorem, Nash-Moser theorem, Hilbert's 19th problem, and ideal money. Nash's work has provided insights into the factors that govern chance and decision-making inside complex systems found in everyday life.
Now, let's talk about Nash embedding theorem. The Nash embedding theorems, named after John Forbes Nash, state that every Riemannian manifold can be isometrically embedded in some Euclidean space. Isometric means preserving the length of every path. For instance, bending a page of paper without stretching or tearing it results in an isometric embedding of the page into Euclidean space because the curves written on the page preserve the same arc length regardless of how the page is bent. The first theorem is for continuously differentiable embeddings, and the second for analytic embeddings or embeddings that are smooth of class. These two theorems are significantly different from one another. The first theorem has a relatively simple proof and leads to some highly counterintuitive conclusion, while the second theorem has a more complex proof, but the result is not as surprising. Nash received treatment that allowed his condition to improve to the point that he was able to begin teaching again at Princeton. Then he later became known as the Phantom of Fine Hole for his habit of filing blackboards with complex equations during the night when no one else was around. In addition, Nash was also a pioneer in the study of differential geometry in partial differential equation. He also developed an equilibrium theory known as the Nash equilibrium.